Welcome back. The Herd is coming up next here on FS1. Doug Gottlieb is in for Colin. Hi, Doug. What's on the show today?
Hi, guys. Listen, I've been watching the show. Obviously, a lot of people talking about Kyrie Irving, whether or not he threatened to sit out the year and fake a knee injury so that he'd be traded from Cleveland. Bad stories about Kyrie, about Isaiah Thomas, the owner possibly selling. Where could they be getting all these stories, I wonder? We'll discuss at the top of the hour.
Thanks, Doug. Time for our final topic of the day. Tiger Woods admitted he was a little rusty after his first round at Torrey Pines yesterday. He finished at even par, and he'll tee off for his second round in about 30 minutes. Shannon, should Tiger be happy with his first round?
He should. After a year of not playing tournament golf and to shoot even par, he should be very pleased, considering the last year this time he was in this very tournament. He ended up missing the cut, having back surgery, and missing the rest of the season. He showed flashes yesterday, Skip.
Yeah.
Almost a hole-in-one. So this is something he can build upon. The question is, in order to win tournaments, can you string together 4 rounds?
Yep.
Can you do that? Because we've seen him have flashes, shoot 67, 66, and then blow up the next couple of days.
I agree. I watched it all yesterday, and I was impressed. He was much better than I thought he'd be. Last year on that same South course, he shot 76. This time he goes 70. And 6 times yesterday he went 300-plus yards with his driver. So he's got a little more ball speed and distance.
How does he feel in the morning, though?
I don't know. That's going to be the question today, because I still think it's debatable whether he's going to make the cut.
Right. Yes, he's going to have to go really low to probably make the cut.
Yep.
But he should be encouraged. I mean, playing with your homeboys on the course is one thing.
Yep.
Playing tournament golf and you're actually trying to win, and it's not your tournament, the Hero Championship that he played in, Jamaica somewhere?
Oh, in Bahamas.
In Bahamas,
Yep.
is different.
Yep.
Look good.
That's it for us. We'll be back Monday at 9:30 Eastern. Have a great weekend. Right now, Doug Gottlieb tells you why LeBron needs to cover his tracks. The Herd starts now.
Won the All-Star.
What up? Welcome in. This is The Herd. However, wherever, whyever. See, I threw in the other part. Whyever you may be listening to this show, thanks so much for making us part of your day. Live from sunny Los Angeles. On all of our iHeart radio stations, Fox Sports radio stations, of course, FS1, along with Christine Leahy. I'm Doug Gottlieb for Colin the Herd.
You had to make the opening your own. That's fair.
I had to own it.
Throw in whatever words you want.
Speaking of own it, by the way, you are sparkling today. You are sparkly today.
Thank you. You also dashing.
Well,
today.
you know. Anyway, look, yesterday was the NBA All-Star Game draft, which afterwards, LeBron tweeted that it should have been on TV. Later on in the show, we'll show you it wasn't on TV for the specific reason that played out after the draft kind of went down. We'll talk a little bit about Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, some of the things that they said. But I find it fascinating what's happening in Cleveland. I don't know if you saw this story, but Dan Gilbert would reportedly like to sell the team. Of course, you sell high, right? And never is the value higher than when a team has been to 3 straight NBA Finals, won an NBA championship, and has LeBron James on it. He's not from Cleveland. He's a Detroit guy, and things are going bad. And in order to even fix it on the fly this year, if they acquire another body that's going to hurt them against the salary cap, there'll be more luxury tax paid out. And he'll probably have to do that in order to continue to kind of find a way to put a finger in the dike as this Cleveland Cavalier team has been coming apart at the seams seemingly all season long. But I find it interesting. It's sometimes on social media you see dog shaming, right? Where my dog will do this, right? Where my dog my dog tears up his own bed, which doesn't really make any sense to me, but he'll tear up his own bed. And you follow the little pieces of foam, and they lead directly to my dog. And then you're like, did you do this? And then the dog's like, puts its head down. Kids do this as well. Right? Kids aren't even good at covering their tracks. The cookie jar is open. The proverbial cookie jar is open. Or for my son, for example, he likes this trail mix, right? And I can't figure out last night why he wasn't eating his dinner. Like, man, I made you the steak. I made you all the things that you like, and you're not eating. He's like, I'm just not hungry. And then I go back in his room, and I notice that there's trail mix and that all the pieces of chocolate are missing from the trail mix. So it wasn't just like he was eating the peanuts and the good stuff for you. He was just picking out the pieces of chocolate. kids sometimes aren't good at covering. You know who else not good at covering the tracks? LeBron James. He's just not good at this. Like, there's an art to planting a story. There's an artiste can plant many stories and somehow throw themselves lightly under the bus. But look at the litany of stories coming out of Cleveland. Right, next to the Sacramento Kings, they're the worst defensive team in the league. And as they continue to struggle to win basketball games, well, they lost 11 out of 14, something like that. As they continue to struggle in this first half of the season, we've heard that Kevin Love has been called a liar, right? Things you don't, it even goes back to old Westerns. Like, you don't want to call anybody a liar. You called me a liar? Players only meeting. Called him a liar. Said, why are you leaving the game? Why are you going home? We give up 148 points and you're not there. And Kevin Love said it was because he was sick and Isaiah Thomas didn't buy it. That story came out. Now there's this new story that Kyrie Irving threatened to sit out the year with a knee injury or have knee surgery instead of playing another year with LeBron James. I'll do anything it takes, anything, to not play with that guy, to not play in this regime. I just don't like it. I don't like what's going on here. And then, of course, last night, LeBron's the bigger man. LeBron James selected Kyrie Irving as part of his team. I'm the bigger man. Well, LeBron's the good guy. He picked up Kyrie. Kyrie's the bad guy because he left the team. He said, I'll sit out because of a knee injury. Forget about the fact that the reason Kyrie left is playing out because Kyrie knew that LeBron makes all of these decisions and takes no ownership over them. When there's a bad contract, when there's a bad negotiation, when there's a bad fit, hey, the owner's got to spend some money. The GM's got to do a better job. We even saw that story that came out 2 days ago, right? Brian Windhorst saying, well, LeBron's really mad about is they didn't get Paul George. Forget about the fact that the Indiana Pacers, even though the Cavs had negotiated a deal, the Pacers like, we're not giving away Paul George to a team in our own division. We're not doing that. Forget that. Trade him to Oklahoma City, and the Pacers pulled off a better trade. Got killed at the time, but Oladipo and Sabonis are two starters for the Pacers. Oladipo's a freaking all-star. It was a great trade. Like, LeBron James isn't even dealing in the reality of what is possible. I wanted Eric Bledsoe. What are you going to send back in return? I mean, you can't trade back Isaiah Thomas to the Phoenix Suns. One, they didn't want him. He wasn't healthy at the time anyway. What are you going to send back? So you hear stories about, the owner and the GM being called out because they didn't pull off deals. Kyrie's the bad guy because he threatened to sit out and kind of fake a knee injury instead of actually playing with the Cavaliers. Isaiah Thomas looking like a bad fit and a bad guy because he calls out Kevin Love and calls him a liar. And no fingers are ever in any of these stories pointing to LeBron James. You know why? Because that's where the stories come from. He's got to be better. You have to be better at this. And I'm not saying like LeBron James is texting Windhorst and texting all these guys. It doesn't work that way. You tell your guy who tells the story. You tell a guy who tells a guy. But when not one single finger comes back and goes, LeBron could have been better to Kyrie a long time ago. LeBron was the guy who really pushed management to negotiate with Tristan Thompson in this untradeable contract. LeBron wanted that Paul George deal done, and he's really mad, but he's more mad at the Pacers than he is at the Cavs. No. All the fingers point away. You have to be you cannot be like a Labrador puppy. Where you're like, did you do this? You're like, yeah, I did this. It's so obvious. Is it? It's not. It's obvious to everybody, right? Isn't it? And even LeBron's the bigger man because LeBron drafted Kyrie Irving last night. Like, come on.
Well, and he said it was an easy decision for him to make to draft Kyrie. Well, where was that in the summer? If it was so easy for him to want Kyrie on his team, why didn't he fix things?
Well, the idea is that Kyrie didn't, I'm sure he's going to say, well, Kyrie never picked up the phone. We're like, dude, you can tell by somebody's body language. You know what's going on. The second even you hear that he goes into ownership and says, I want to be traded, that's the time to which LeBron has to go into re-recruit mode.
Well, and isn't there a report that he had tried to get him traded even earlier?
Yes, which is why Kyrie wanted to get traded. It's like, look, we won a championship, and you tried to trade me so you get Chris Paul.
Right, which is
now
why
I ask out, and you're like, no, and I'm the bad guy? Like, how does that exactly work?
Yeah, so I don't believe this whole, this was an easy decision, and now I'm the bigger man. No way.
It played out as such for LeBron. It made him look like the greatest guy ever. And I'm not saying LeBron's a bad guy, but I'm saying that what happens is this thing is a poop show. This is a smoldering, stinking dumpster fire. Is all it is. And, oh, yeah, by the way, when LeBron leaves in the offseason, he's going to be able to go like, see, I wanted to make it work. I came back. I won a championship, but the owner doesn't even want to stay in Cleveland. And they weren't willing to go into the luxury tax hell in order to make it work. And we couldn't keep Kyrie Irving. And we shouldn't have fired David. It's going to be everybody else's fault except Maruno. That's a pattern. Pattern's been established. And again, like, I get it. You want the story out there. You want to explain to the masses that there's a bunch of stuff going on. It's really hard to get. All I want to play is basketball. But that's not what you said. You want to be bigger than basketball. He wants to own a team. He wants to run a team. He wants his agent to be bigger than any other agent because their friends and their partnership, their bond is bigger than any agent-player bond. Great. Okay, but if that happens, when mistakes are made, that's when you have to own up to them and go like, you know what? We should have handled the Kyrie thing better. We should have nipped it at the bud. When we thought about trading him for Chris Paul, I should have had him out to the house and explained to him, what was going on and what the thinking was. But instead, we just let it fester out there. And turns out he found out about it and he was ticked the whole time. Right? That's what leadership is. That's what greatness is. And to anyone who says these are things he can't control, bull, because he's tried to control them. So I'm not sitting here telling you that LeBron James is a horrible human being. He's not. There are far more horrible human beings out there. I just think it's curious that he's not doing a better job of covering up the tracks either of the things that he's relaying to reporters or the things that his guys are relaying to reporters. Because if any of this came from somewhere, where else could it possibly be coming from that all the stories are about everybody else except for him? Like, you're telling me it's J.R. Smith, right? Like, J.R. Smith's having a terrible year. You tell me J.R. Smith's like, yo, you know what really happened? Mm-hmm. You didn't want to tell me it's Kevin Love telling people that people think he's a liar because he left the game? Like, no. You think Tyronn Lue wants people to know his locker room's a mess, that they're having multiple players-only meetings? And to anybody who thinks players-only meetings are a good thing, I want you to do yourself a favor. If you're driving to work in Los Angeles or you're at lunch, imagine you get a text right now that says, hey, we got a meeting on a Friday. You'd be like, oh, God. It could be a meeting to give out bonuses. You see that you have a meeting, you're like, I hate meetings. I just hate it. I hate it. Even if they're going to give me $1,000 for giving to the meeting, the fact is that every boss is going to get up and say a couple of words because they all want you to know that they somehow played a part in the success. Like, God, I hate meetings. Just type it in an email. Send it in a group text. Everybody hates meetings. You think Tyronn Lue wants that out there? Cavs have lost 6 of 7. Everybody has some form of the blame. Everybody has a little bit of blood in their hands. The only one who's not getting blamed is LeBron James. I find that to be curious. Curious, at least. Later on, we're going to get to the 2018 NBA All-Star Game roster. Bless you, Christine. No, I'm not just throwing out blessings. She actually sneezed. My God. I'm not supposed to point it out, but it was a very polite, very ladylike sneeze, as opposed to something that I would sneeze and all the papers would go everywhere. We're going to get to the 2018 NBA All-Star Game roster in Los Angeles, which is a couple weeks away. We'll talk about whether or not any more people are going to watch this All-Star Game. They clearly screwed up in not having it on TV, but it's obvious why they screwed up. We'll point that out to you. But up next, Jerry Jones had some very interesting comments regarding Dak Prescott and the Cowboys offense. We're not going to just tell you what Jerry said. We're going to tell you what he really said. That's upcoming next with Christine Leahy. I'm Doug Gottlieb in for Colin. This is The Herd.